pleasant good morning to you and a warm welcome to Freedom News Insight. Today is Tuesday. Today is the 5th day of March. The year is 2024. Good morning to you and welcome to Freedom News Insight. My name is Anthony Phillips, anchoring this morning presentation, and we sincerely apologize for coming up a bit late. Well, stories we're following this morning. Former Liberian President George Weah condemns alleged police brutality and shooting that led to the death of peaceful citizens in Kinjor, Grand Cape County, and stresses the importance of upholding citizens' constitutional rights. Government of Liberia re-echoes its commitment to establishing war and economic crimes court for Liberia, emphasize the need for individual accused of committing atrocities to account for their action. Fire disaster engulfed Liberia as the Apostolic Foundation High School and the Fire for Fire International Ministry Monday got at fire in the Vamuma community in Sinker. And away from Liberia, the United States government has imposed sanctions on Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa, along with other officials, other senior officials, for corruption and human rights abuses. This plus many more are coming up first after this bulletin. Thanks for being there, and let's now bring you the news bulletin, which is a regular feature on Freedom News Insight here at Freedom Communications Incorporated. Former Liberian President George Weah has condemned alleged police brutality and shooting that led to the deaths of peaceful citizens in Kinjor, Grand Cape County. Recently, violence erupted in Kinjor, Grand Cape County, where 3 individuals were reported to have been killed by the Liberia National Police and several citizens injured. During the incident, protesters barricaded roads and businesses were closed due to fear and buildings damage, including a local police station in the area. Or responding to the situation during his regular Sunday worship service at the Fokeklon Family Fellowship Church, former President George Weah noted that the killing of peaceful citizens undermine the country's peace. Former President Weah said police shooting at peaceful citizens has the propensity to destabilize the long-lasting peace, emphasizing that such actions were not the reason for the election of President Joseph Boakai and the Unity Party. The former Liberian leader highlighted his efforts during his tenure to train the Liberia National Police to maintain peace and friendliness with the citizens even during protests. He pledged to address these issues as a peaceful citizen and vowed not to allow the shooting of innocent protesters exercising their constitutional right. At the same time, former President George Weah is urging the international community to intervene and pressure the Unity Party government to uphold the Liberian constitution and respect the rights of every citizen. He then cautioned Liberians to maintain a peaceful and calm environment during public protests, stressing that peace is the only way forward, while stressing the importance of upholding citizens' constitutional rights. The government of Liberia has re-echoed its commitment to the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court for Liberia. The court establishment, according to the government, is intended to ensure that individuals accused of committing atrocities and corruption during the country's dark days face justice. According to Information Minister Jeremy Pia, the Bwaka Coons administration is in full readiness to serve the state and people who lost their relatives during the Liberian Civil War justice through the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court. However, the Liberian Information Minister noted that it is not in the power of the executive to initiate the process to establish the court contrary to public perception. Minister Pia furthered that the establishment of the court by law must first emanate from the legislature. He said if such instrument is sent to the executive by the legislature, the Liberian leader will use his political will to ensure its establishment, noting that until the right process is followed, the government's attention and priorities remain at addressing the day-to-day issues affecting citizens across the country. Minister Pia at the same time announced plans by the government to resubmit a bill seeking to make LBS a public broadcaster. He noted that if the bill is passed into law, it will allow the stations operate void of politics as it has been used as political missionary against opposition political parties in the country. He made a statement Monday, March 4, when he served as guest on the state radio. Fire on Monday gutted the Apostolic Foundation High School and the Fire for Fire International Ministry in Cinco. Speaking to this station via mobile phone following the incident, the business manager of the institution, Darrington Collett, explained that while he was at the Temple of Justice on some legal issues, he received a phone call alerting him of the incident. According to Collett, there was no casualty experienced by any students and disclosed that the Liberia National Fire Service was at the scene to respond to the fire incident. He put the cost of the damage at an estimated cost of over 75,000 United States dollars, terming it as a total setback to the institution. Could further that the cause of the fire is yet to be established by the Liberia National Fire Service and the Liberia National Police, but quoted eyewitnesses as saying that the fire traveled from an adjacent building to the school. Darrington Kohler stressed that the issue of fire disaster in the country should not be taken lightly. Several health workers in Nima County are calling on the Liberian Senate to speedily confirm the Deputy Minister for Administration designate at the Ministry of Health, Roger Doma. Recently, President Joseph Boakai nominated the former Nima County District 7 Representative Roger Doma as Deputy Minister for Administration designate at the Ministry of Health pending confirmation. But addressing reporters Monday, the Nima County health workers stressed the need for the urgent confirmation of the nominee to ensure that the ministry begin full work. According to them, the health sector is one of the key components of the country. As such, the delay in the confirmation of officials designated at the ministry will undermine smooth operations of the health sector of the country. They said currently all clinics and hospitals across the country are not fully functional due to the delay in confirming officials designated to the health ministry, especially the deputy minister designate for administration at the Ministry of Health. However, the health workers call on the Senate, that's the Senate Committee on Health, to speedily confirm the deputy minister designate, Roger Doma. The dean of the Louis Arthur Graham School of Law, Councillor Jala Babu, wants the regime of President Joseph Boakai to address the competing needs of citizens due to their high expectations. According to him, the country is becoming divided and ethnic groups are pushing particular interests. Even at the academic level, the few continues to persist. He believed it is the responsibility of every Liberian to ensure that peaceful coexistence is ensured despite disagreement between various groups for various reasons. Councillor Babu, who served as the keynote speaker of the fifth induction ceremony of the National Fula Governor Council of Liberia on Sunday, said that the Fula community is essential to the economic of the country. As such, there is a need to discriminate. Thus, there is a need. There is no need, I beg your pardon, to discriminate against them. He urged citizens to take the law key. Therefore, he wants the fuller community rules to be in strict adherence to the law of Liberia. Councillor Babu also wants members of the fuller community to get involved with the development of the country, adding that it is their exclusive right. However, Councillor Babu encouraged the Fulani community to take advantage of the opportunity to develop their children educationally, especially their girls. He then advised the Fula community against the habit of giving birth, but to rather use the rightful channels in their activities. The Grand Bassa County Detachment of the Liberia National Drugs Enforcement Agency has apprehended an 11th grade student from Bassa Seventh-day Adventist High School in Buchanan for smoking kush in a ghetto located within the new Buchanan Block B community. The arrest was made following a tip-off received by Commander Buster Joulon from a senior elder of the community who expressed concern about the habitual drugs use among youth in the area. Commander Joulon stated that this was the second time the student, identified as James Harris, has been arrested. He had previously been apprehended several months ago, but after releasing him to observe his behavior, it became evident that he continued to engage in drug use. Expressing gratitude for the support received from the county residents since assuming his position, the LDEA boss thanked the citizens for their cooperation and working relationship. In response, the principal of Bassa Seventh-day Adventist High School, Reverend Levi Flammer, expressed appreciation for the bold step taken by the LDEA in combating drug-related issues in the county. He urged Commander Joulon to continue his dedicated effort in tackling the problem. Reverend Flammer stressed that the action taken aligns with the school's student handbook policies. The Forestry Student Association at the University of Liberia is calling on President Joseph Boakai to withdraw the appointment of the Forestry Development Authority Managing Director designate Rudolph Maraf. That's Miraf. Recently, President Joseph Boakai nominated Rudolph Miraf as the Managing Director of the Liberia Forestry Development Authority. Addressing reporters Monday on World Wildlife Day, the chairman of the Forestry Student Association at the state-run university, Abraham Nulia, described the newly appointed managing director of the FDA as unqualified. According to Nulia, the newly appointed FDA managing director, Rudolph Mirab, had that's a whole degree in physics and not in forestry. As such, he should not serve as forestry managing, that's the Forestry Development Authority. Nulia argued that the appointment of Mirab undermined the act that created the Forestry Development Authority. The chairman of the Forestry Students Association also alleged that the newly appointed managing director has what he called a tainted record of corruption. Meanwhile, the Forestry Students Association chairman has accused the newly appointed FDA managing director of negotiating with President Joseph Boakai to appoint one Augustine Johnson to serve as Deputy Managing Director at the FDA. The students group, however, is calling on President Boakai to withdraw the appointment of Rudolph Mirav and the nomination of Augustine Johnson or face unspecified action from the student community. A motion seeking to release over 200 armed robbers has been filed by Councillor Sina Kalo at Criminal Code D at the Temple of Justice. Councillor Kalo, who is a public defender, according to our judicial correspondent, reliance is Chapter 18, Section 18.2 of the Criminal Procedure Law. The law states that any person indicated or indicted for indictable offenses should be tried within 2 court terms, and failure on the state to prosecute the matter warrant dismissal. Councillor Carlos' 8-count motion alleged that this client or his clients were arrested, incarcerated, and has been behind bars at the Monrovia Central Prison for over 28, 24, 20, 16, 12, 8, and 4 terms of court without being indicted or tried. He maintained that the prolonged detention is a violation of Chapter 18, Section 18.2, and its equivalent to the punishment of the accused with conviction, something the principle of due process of law frown at. He also said that the action of the state is against the spirit and intent of the law in respect to the speedy trial or the speedy trial and the presumption of the defendant's innocence. And away from Liberia now, the United States government has imposed sanctions on Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa, along with other senior officials for corruption and human rights abuses. On Monday, the U.S. government said leaders in Zimbabwe were zip-honing off public resources for personal gain. This move scrapped the old executive sanction order introduced in 2003 and moved 11 individuals, 3 entities onto the global list, the Global Magnitsky Sanctions Program. The U.S. also criticized the targeting of civil society and severe restriction on public activity, as well as President Mnangagwa, Vice President Constantino Chiwanga, and businessman Kudiwashi Tawiri have also been sanctioned. That's the news bulletin. When we come back, we're going to bring you the voices of the news makers. Well, if you're just joining us, welcome. This is Freedom News Insights, 1 full hour of all of the latest news from our news department here at Freedom Communications Incorporated. Today is Tuesday, and today is the 5th day of March. My name is Anthony Phillips. Stories we're following this morning. Former Liberian President George Weah condemns alleged police brutality and shooting that led to the deaths of peaceful citizens in King George, Grand Cape County, stresses the importance of upholding citizens' constitutional rights. The government of Liberia re-echoes its commitment to establishing war and economic crimes court for Liberia, emphasized the need for individuals accused of committing atrocities to account for their action. Fire disaster engulfed Liberia as the Apostolic Foundation High School and the Fire for Fire International Ministry Monday gutted fire in the Vamuma community in Sinko. Away from Liberia, the United States government has imposed sanctions on Zimbabwe's President Emerson Mnangagwa, along with other senior officials for corruption and human rights abuses. This plus many more interspersed with some local Liberian music or included on this edition of Freedom News Insights. Stay tuned. Welcome back and thanks for being there. Let's bring you our very first development this morning. The government of Liberia has re-echoed its commitment to the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court for Liberia. The court's establishment, according to the government, is intended to ensure that individuals accused of committing atrocities and corruption during the country's dark days face justice. According to Information Minister Jeremy Pia, the Bouaka Coons administration is in full readiness to serve the state and people who lost their relatives during the Liberian Civil War justice through the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Courts in the country.
The president remains totally committed to accountability. Accountability goes beyond the question of war crime code. It's the same thing we're talking about audit. And my friend Matai were talking about somebody seeing audit out. Which one? No, it's just the same question of accountability. The president's own record. His records are clear from the campaign time as to what the thoughts were about war crime code. I don't think that has changed. But what could be the issue is this. People are not paying attention, Kevin, as to if he's going to have war crime code tomorrow, what does it require? It's not President Bouaka coming to address the nation and say tomorrow we'll start the war. If you have war crime code here, the people who take the decision that will have to be signed onto by the president, you know where they are? The national legislature. That's step one. Step two, you don't have well-born water. You don't have school. Your hospitals are empty. You're looking for money for them. So the second thing that goes along with that action from the legislature will be financial commitment. It's not a small thing to operate a war crime code. Go ask Sierra Leone. They just send free general and go do a fact-finding mission there, they will tell you. So the very international people will have to be committed to supporting it. That should be. But the first step is for our people in parliament, in our legislature, to be the ones looking at it and determining that we are ready for this, to pass on to it. If they do, I'm not sure President Bouaka's commitment to it will change.
At the same time, Minister Pia has announced plans by the government to resubmit a bill seeking to make LBS a public broadcaster. He noted that if the bill is passed into law, it will allow the station operates void of politics as it has been used as political machinery against opposition political parties in the country. He made a statement Monday when he served as a guest on state radio.
If you follow the confirmation hearing, one of the issues we've had with ERBC in the past, it's not just with the administration. The state broadcaster most times is drawn into the regular politics of the day. That should not be the case. It's a state broadcasting institution. It should serve the public. It should serve the citizenry. Where do they come from? They got different political interests, right? The people who run political parties are also Liberians. They have right to state radio. But sometimes it just, yes, you promulgate government programs and policy as well at LBC, but you can be drawn into the politics to the extent that you don't want opposition people to come on the station. You don't want people who are critical of the government to come on the station. You should create space for everybody, right? But how the safeguards? So, say for example, you call Party X leader to come on the show, and he leaves the core issue, right? And maybe gets involved in insult, trying to insult people, then that's a different ballgame. The leadership team, the management, those who run the program should be able to find a way to mitigate that. But keeping people away on account of being afraid that they will say something against the government is a problem. And for me, as chairman of the board, and I'm sure incoming Director General Fagon will be on board with this because we've talked about it. We just want to make the state institutions look like one. They should be void of politics. We cannot transform state institutions into political machinery.
That's the voice of Information Minister Cherylimic Piade speaking when he appeared on ELBC radio as a guest. The Forestry Student Association at the University of Liberia is calling on President Joseph Boakai to withdraw the appointment of Forestry Development Authority Managing Director designate Rudolph Miraf. Recently, President Joseph Boakai nominated Rudolph Miraf as the Managing Director of the Liberia Forestry Development Authority. Addressing reporters Monday on World Wildlife Day, the chairman of the Forestry Students Association at the state-run university, Abraham Nolia, described the newly appointed managing director of the FDA as unqualified.
Disciplined and trained forester, member of the press, fellow university forestry students, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we, member of the above named organization, do call on President Joseph Boakai Sr. to immediately reclaim his action and report Rudolph Miraf from the FDA and replace it or raise NS Protect's action at the premises of the FDA in the principal street of Monrovia. We do not challenge the president appointing power of government official as guaranteed by Article 54 of the Liberian Constitution, but that provision is guided by the act creating the FDA, which places a set of criteria along with such appointment can be made. The Constitution is a law as well as the statute which the president is on oath to protect and defend. We are calling on the president to replace Rudolph Miraf with any Liberian citizen who meet the qualification as provided by Section 7 of the act creating the FDA. That is, a person with a minimum of a graduate degree in any specialized area in forestry with appreciable job experience. Currently, Liberia has about 5 PhD holders in forestry and more than 48 master holder specialization in forestry. A lot of them are members of the Very Rescue Mission and some were members of the Auxiliary Corps University of Liberia instructors or lecturers in support of Boakai election. Rudolph Miraf falls short of the academic qualifications specified in the act creating the FDA. He also lacks the experience and worst of all, he has stinted character while doing business, logging setting for the past 3 decades. Serious Media Institute published some of Rudolph Miraf illegal activity in the forestry sector. Prominent among them are the Liberian Observer online newspaper article caption, Liberia Boakai picks wartime anti-regulation logo for FDA, published on February 13, 2024, and front page newspaper online picture article, Liberia organization representing the forest community, key on who becomes next FDA managing director.
Meanwhile, the Forestry Student Association chairman has accused the newly appointed FDA managing director of negotiating with President Joseph Boakai to appoint one Augustine Johnson to serve as deputy managing director at the FDA. The students group, however, is calling on President Boakai to withdraw the appointment of Rudolph Miraf and the nomination of Augustine Johnson or face unspecified actions from the student community.
Meanwhile, for a reliable source, information reaching us says that Mr. Augustine B.M. Johnson, former GIS manager at the FDA who was sacked by former President Eddie Johnson Sirleaf for his involvement in a dubious carbon deal with a British firm and notorious private newspaper PUP, is now being considered for the position of Deputy Managing Director for Operation through the recommendation of the inexperienced and unqualified Rudolph Miraf. Let this be made known that in an attempt to appointing Mr. Johnson, who criminal conceived, labor him on multiple crimes of economic sabotage, criminal conspiracy, forgery, or counterfeiting, obtaining and issuing of deceptive writing, and obstruction of government function by public servant. The Boakai government will be attempted by an unspecified revolutionary action. We will do it consistently because we hold Mr. Brother, the President of the Republic, accountable for a statement he made prior to the ascendancy to the presidency. It won't be business as usual, and he stand by a word that this country will be governed by rules and law. Insofar that Mr. Brother and the government have refused to listen to our plan, we will always be in an orderly manner according then to this issue that Mr. Marais should exit the FDA because they contradict the act that create the institution. How can a physicist, is someone who read physics, spearhead the activity of a forest student? That's a clear contradiction.
That's the voice of Abraham Nulia. He is the chairman of the Forestry Student Association at the University of Liberia. Let's bring you more development. Former Liberian President George Weah has condemned alleged police brutality and shooting that led to the deaths of peaceful citizens in Kinjor, Grand Cape Mon County. Recently, violence erupted in Kinjor, Grand Cape Mon County, where 3 individuals were reported to have been killed by the Liberia National Police and several citizens injured. During the incident, protesters barricaded roads and businesses were closed due to fear and buildings damaged, including a local police station.
Those that said they came to rescue us, they should understand that they said that they're going to rescue this country. So police shooting people was not the intention of the struggle. That's why I train the police to be conscious of the Liberian people and make sure that they're friendly with them when they come to the protests. Give them food and water. It's important. Those that are crying and say they want to protest, they are now the government of the country. We have a federal, we need to hear that you shooting innocent protesters, Liberians, you cannot see. According to them, our feet on fire, but the feet must be on double fire. Cannot allow any police director to direct people get innocent for that protesting for their rights. That's how we can do it. That police director, I can guarantee him when this thing happens, we will march to him and bring him to court. Everything that was done according to them that didn't happen. What we see, people are dying, this is a common protest, it's wrong, and we must spread it. We have to stand up as citizens of this country. This will not happen no more. In our history, there was a young man, Esther Parker, was a rise from Ghana, and the citizens marched in the street and made sure that the police director came down. This country, the reason we ask for peace, that we led the army and the police to be an army of good and police of good, is the interest of the people. Those that are in power, when they shooting guns and what have you, they come back to power to use the same gun, we will not allow that. We will not allow it. We are prepared to make sure that the citizens have the right to protest, to speak to anyone who wants to let them consent. And that's what we're going to do. So I want to send this message to the international community. They will tell us that people must protest. They need to join us to tell the government that every made a mistake and they took us from there. They should not make the same mistake because we will make sure do the same. That is a symbol of freedom, symbol of unity, symbol of peace. Every leader in this world that will become the best leader pass through Liberia. Our history does not be war.
At the same time, former President George Weah is urging the international community to intervene and pressure the Unity Party government to uphold the Liberian Constitution and respect the rights of every citizen. He then cautioned Liberians to maintain a peaceful and calm environment during public protests, stressing that peace is the only way forward, while stressing the importance of upholding citizens' constitutional rights.
To my friends on the other side, we are citizens of this country. Our safety is important. So I send a message to you, Waka, make sure that no police get in the street and use arms. They will be the last one in George. They will not have it. It's not a threat. It's our civil liberty to make sure that we want that the rest go to ask questions. But good to see you. It is true that we just enjoy doing these protests. They will protest again. My message to you: peace is the ultimate. Yeah, doesn't matter how you protest diligently, so they cannot be casualty. My word, I hope it's still with you. You have your right as citizen of the country, and I hope those that are on my voice around the globe, peace is the only way. Want peace, trust me. Our voice in trouble.
That's the voice of former Liberian President George Weah there speaking at his Folklore Family Fellowships Center in Painesville. Let's take this break now. When we come back, we'll bring you more development. This one is brand new. His name is CRC, Credible CRC, and this one is called Congratulations.
Le pape said no one to do it, do. Le pocket rocho, lepe when you coming true. I can see. All the good God do for me, oh. Papa, your blessing to plant me, and I get out of oh. You open door, you made a way. Make my enemy talent fail. They wanna water down me. I listen people not saying. Me only used to tell me, they telling me, okay, congratulations. They opening corridor for me to pass. So you said the full say, congratulations. See how are you turning around for good from the way to farewell. Congratulations. The grace I carried and on your bed, the teach it and do well. Congratulations. Congratulations. Let all my kids they wanting me for. All of my Kenya give it to God. They think il a tout et la pour la maman. Les papes la zoba. Les pola tunku tuku. Si les tina do. Tell her to say we not doing so. Me I got pepe. Tempo tuku. You turn it around for me. When all of them were looking down on me. Les pas you still a show. Your umpa is slow but sure. Let me at today, tell me yes, sir. Used to put your lap out, tell me what's that. Look, let them plan your dream. Papa, I do as you say.
Her name is Credible CRC. This one is called Congratulations.
I see all the good God I do for me, oh. Papa, your blessing to plant me and I get out of to.
And if this is your first time listening to it, well, it's on Freedom Radio. And the program is the Freedom News Insight.
Telling me, okay, congratulations. They opening corridor for me to pass. So you said the full say, congratulations. See how are you turning around for good from the way to farewell. Congratulations. The grace I carried and on your bed, they teach it and do well. Congratulations.
Caller.
Congratulations, a beautiful song there by CIC. Trying to entertain you a little bit on the program Freedom News Insight. In case you just joined us, welcome. Stories we're following this morning. The former Liberian President George Weah condemns alleged police brutality and shooting that led to the deaths of peaceful citizens in King George, Grand Cape County. Stresses the importance of upholding citizens' constitutional rights. Government of Liberia re-echoes its commitment to establishing war and economic crimes court for Liberia, emphasize the need for individuals accused of committing atrocities to account for their actions. Fire disaster engulfed Liberia as the Apostolic Foundation High School and the Fire for Fire International Ministry Monday got at fire in the Vamuma community in Cinco in the nation's capital. Away from Liberia, the United States government has imposed sanctions on Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa, along with other senior officials for corruption and human rights abuses. Let's bring you more development here this morning on the program Freedom News Insight. Fire on Monday gutted the Apostolic Foundation High School and the Fire for Fire International Ministry in Cinco. Speaking to this station via mobile phone following the incident, the business manager of the institution, Darlington Collette, explained that while he was at the Temple of Justice on some legal issues, he received a call alerting him of the incident. According to Collette, there was no casualty experienced by any students and disclosed that the Liberia National Fire Service was at the scene to respond to the fire incident.
According to some reliable information that filtered into us this afternoon, because I was with citizens of this country to observe when you are building the structure. According to some reliable information that filtered into us this afternoon, because I was reading at the Supreme Court because I had a problem there, and I received this call that our facility was on fire. So I had to do a detour and go back on the campus immediately where I saw the fire service, and they did extremely well, the fire service of Liberia, and they fought the fire till the end. And there are some information that established that the fire, actually the source of the fire is from a church adjacent our property called Fire for Fire. And we are still holding that till, because the fire service of Liberia, that is the National Fire Service, they pledge that they will conduct their investigation and get back to us in the soonest possible time. But from eyewitnesses and from some video recording, the source of the fire actually evolved from the Fire for Fire church adjacent our property. According to the National Fire Service staff that actually came to our rescue, they said they're going to do an investigation formally, and I will also inform that the zone director for the LVU depot also is in the know, and they're also going to do their investigation and come up with their findings in the soonest possible time. It was a tremendous damage that led to the burning of the large floor of the school facility, and that affected the second floor and also the back, that is the rear of the building. So all of the window glasses, got cracking because of the force and the pressure from the fire. So we have a huge damage to be running in something like 75,000 United States dollars or more than that. Estimating like 100,000 United States dollars if we will go through just to estimate a round figure. That's damage caused.
That's Darlington Collette there explaining the fire incident that occurred at the Apostolic Foundation High School and the Fire for Fire International Ministry in Cinco on yesterday. Let's bring you more development here this morning. The dean of the Louis Arthur Graham School of Law, Councillor Jala Babu, wants the regime of President Joseph Boakai to address the competing needs of citizens due to their high expectation. According to him, the country is becoming divided and ethnic groups are pushing particular interests even at the academic level. The few continue to persist. He believes it is the responsibility of every Liberian to ensure that peaceful coexistence is ensured despite disagreements between various groups for diverse reasons.
Accelerating peaceful coexistence in Liberia. There is no doubt Liberia is at the crossroads. It is now far beyond legislative and presidential elections. The previous government was quite curtailed, if not dissolved, by the direct action of the former president in Executive Order Number 123. that establish a transitional team and a transitional process. We, the people, have, as you are doing here today, inaugurated a president and vice president. A new government is in its formative stages. And I don't have to remind all of us here the expectations and hopes of the people for a brand new country is immeasurable, particularly due to the contentious and tension-packed electoral process that triggered the necessity to make so many promises on the one hand and what, in most instances, scathing remarks and descriptions against each other. Unfortunately, the roles appear to be so deep that today there is still a sense of bitterness in our society that appears will not be overcome anytime soon without a thorough massaging of inclusion and good governance. A high and unprecedented degree of tolerance, patience, collaboration, unity, mutual respect, and inclusion is compelling.
That's the voice of that's Councillor Jala Babu speaking when he served as keynote speaker of the fifth induction ceremony of the National Fula Governor Council of Liberia on Sunday. Several health workers in Nima County are calling on the Liberian Senate to speedily confirm the Deputy Minister for Administration designate at the Ministry of Health, Roger Doma. Recently, President Joseph Boakai nominated the former Nima County District 7 Representative Roger Doma as Deputy Minister for Administration designate at the Ministry of Health pending confirmation. But addressing reporters Monday, the Nima County health workers stressed the need for the urgent confirmation of the nominee to ensure that the ministry begin full work.
We as health workers, in recent time, there have been a lot of heated argument or other things up there, but from the initial stage, the person nominated Honorable Doma, and we have come to actually appreciate him and to also use the occasion to call on those responsible for confirmation to actually be able to come out with those confirmation, because the delay in the confirmation is breaking a lot of issues where we don't want to see happening. It is trying to bring some commotion among health workers, and we think that it's necessary that the decision of the president be respected and actually hit the confirmation on Duma or whosoever he has nominated be done, so that we can have a smooth ministry and then the activity at the ministry can actually be going on. I think on all of our public media and even our print media, we are seeing a lot of issues as it relates to the confirmation of the Deputy Minister for Administration. And so even looking at this delay at the House of Senate, wherein the nomination has been done for the past 2 weeks, and then we are now foreseeing what the confirmation being carried out, and this is actually causing some problem. Even at the ministry level, we expect by now there are other things that the Deputy Minister for Administration should be working at in order to ensure that we have a smooth working relationship at the ministry, and that the person of the Ministry of Health also be fair downward. So we don't want it to take longer time. So we have come to actually appreciate the president for his nomination and to call on the House of Senate to see how well they can go on with the confirmation as early as possible, so that the ministry can start to function in full swing.
As my colleague rightly said, we just engage in this matter today since we have been hearing the ring and roll. We have had a meeting. That was an emergency meeting, but it was well attended. So we are putting mechanism in place to see how best we can meet those people. Because in nursing, we believe in prevention. We don't want things that will help us scatter around here because of this one position.
Yet we are looking at the Deputy Minister for Administration. This is a very key position at the Ministry of Health. The Deputy Minister runs the day-to-day affairs of the ministry. And by announcing a minister being nominated within the past 2 weeks, and then yesterday there have been some delay in confirmation process, it's actually causing problems for the day-to-day activity. And now even at the ministry, we are having people who are just working, but yesterday they are still relying on these people. And within our health sector, we think that health workers should also be together. But instead, because of this nomination issue, we are having some conflict among health workers, which we think the issue of confirmation, once it is done, these things can be able to be put to rest.
Voices of some health workers there speaking calling on the president, that's the Liberian Senate, I beg your pardon, for the speedy confirmation of that's the Deputy Minister for Administration designate of the Ministry of Health, Roger Doma. To this last development, the Chief Executive Officer and Administrator of the Stockton Creek Health Center, Dr. Mohammed Ba, has clarified that Josephus Tukwe, the victim of anti-power theft task force alleged cruelty, did not happen at his health facility as believed by others. Over the weekend, a team of 9 Liberia Electricity Corporation anti-power theft and 2 officers of the Liberia National Police allegedly beat to death Tukwe, a resident of the Carwell, New Georgia community, for his reported involvement in an illegal connection. Some citizens have harbored the belief that the victim died at the Stockton Creek Health Center, where he was taken by the anti-power theft team after the tussle. But speaking to this station, the Chief Executive Officer of the facility, Dr. Mohammed Ba, termed the claims as false and misleading.
I don't think violence is a simple way of life. This is a country of law and order, and we are law-abiding citizens. We have the right to follow the proceeding in order to get things right. I think that is all.
So finally, are you willing to cooperate just in case maybe the family see a different way and see you different way, or your institution different way, they want to also link you to being investigated?
Well, we have been cooperating with the family from the onset of things. We worked together yesterday in order to get this body out of here. So I don't know how they will say they are not in the know-how. They were here, the police were here up to evening hours. So that is it. We have nothing to do with it. We just fall on the bad side of life, that's all.
The voice of the Chief Executive Officer and Administrator of the Stockton Creek Health Center, Mohammed Bader, speaking. And so, folks, on this note, this is how I'd like to come to the end of today's edition of Freedom News Insight. 1 full hour of news, views, and comments from Liberia and the regional scene. Stories we followed this morning: former Liberian President George Weah condemns alleged police brutality and the shooting that led to the death of peaceful citizens in King George, Grand Cape County, stresses the importance of upholding citizens' constitutional rights. The government of Liberia re-echoes its commitment to establishing war and economic crimes code for Liberia, emphasized the need for individuals accused of committing atrocities to account for their actions. Fire disaster engulfed Liberia as the Apostolic Foundation High School and the Fire for Fire International Ministry Monday gutted fire in the Vamoma community in Sinko, Monrovia. And away from Liberia, the United States government has imposed sanctions on Zimbabwe's President Emerson Mnangagwa, along with other senior officials for corruption and human rights abuses. Thanks to the entire news team. Thanks to those of you who contributed and you who played the listening role. My name is Anthony Phillips. I arranged, packaged, and produced this morning presentation. Have a pleasant good morning.